less than 200 at this event.
Okay.
Okay, so
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Omotayo, and I join her to welcome all of you and to thank you for coming to Man House today. This is the seat of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, and it's always a pleasure to have you all with us so that we all work together to ensure that the manufacturing sector in Nigeria prospers and brings prosperity to all its citizens. You all know why we are gathered here today, and it's my pleasure to recognize each and every one of you and to proceed with addressing you at this press conference. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to welcome you to Man House. Our reason for gathering here today is not far-fetched, considering the negative impact the directive of a regulatory agency is having on our members. The association is deeply concerned about the ban imposed on spirit drinks in sachet and PET bottles less than 200 ml. More disturbing is the fact that adequate consideration was not given to the impact of such move will have on the manufacturers, the workers, and the citizenry and the economy. Going down memory lane, the imposition by NAFDAC recently, what they want to achieve is to enforce what has lingered since 2018 when the agency raised a concern which the players, that's our members, addressed through research and campaign. The concern was not a problem created by the producers. Incidentally, it could be solved by collaboration amongst all stakeholders. Notwithstanding its earlier objections, Distillers and Blenders Association of Nigeria, that's the band, participated in the preparation of an MOU, which was then signed on the 18th of December 2018, even though we had reservations, between the Federal Ministry of Health, NAFDAC, CPC, now FCCPC, and the Association of Food, Beverage, and Tobacco Employers, that's AFBTE, and of course DBAN, to address the concerns raised at that time. The goal was to enlighten citizens on responsible consumption by supporting the Federal Ministry of Health and NAFDAC to undertake the advocacy, messaging, training, education, and enlightenment of the public. During this period, DBAN spent over 1 billion naira as at December 2023 on various campaigns enlightenment to ensure zero consumption of alcoholic beverage by underage, and it propagates the Ministry of Health's carefully crafted messages which were designed to cause a behavioral change in consumers, young people and adults. Working with NAFDAC, the players targeted young people below the age of 18 years who are not allowed, even by law, to drink alcohol at all, whether they are in small quantities or large quantities. And even the adults who are allowed to drink but must drink responsibly. Adverts on radio and TVs were moved to late hours to prevent young people from being influenced. Furthermore, strategic moves were made to identify factors that cause irresponsible consumption of alcoholic beverages. We also identify factors responsible for underage drinking in Nigeria. To implement strategies guided by best global practices and national priorities towards strengthening regulatory activities in the form of access control, to strengthen implementation of institution of structures through effective collaboration to ensure sustainability, and to generate evidence through effective monitoring and evaluation for learning and accountability. This is to show the extent to which even the players have been alive to their social responsibility and to ensure that we have the survival of business, we have the survival of the citizen and the well-being of the citizens. NAFDAC, as part of getting the true position on the matter, and this is very important, engaged an independent research agency. By independence, we mean that they do not have allegiance to the producers, neither do they have for the regulatory agencies. So they have a sound and objective basis for giving factual reports. The name of the agency is Research Data Solutions Limited. The agency submitted this report to NAFDAC on August 20, 2021. The report recommended access control by the regulator rather than outright ban, given the fact that only 3.9% underage are engaged in binge drinking. This therefore confirms the fact that involvement of underage in alcoholic consumption is low, and more importantly, that with additional effort, it could be eradicated. This is an objective that our members are irrevocably committed to. So we should not be blackmailed by saying that we are not mindful of the health of our young people. Far from it, we are conscious of it, and we are also parents. So, and we understand all that is required to ensure that we protect the young and the vulnerable. Despite this show of corporate responsibility and proactive support by the players to eliminate the root cause of the issue, the association is perturbed at the apparent preoccupation of NAFDAC to ban the production of drinks in sachet and PET bottles by the year 2024, which is what has brought us here today. This is at variance with the right of private enterprise to invest and engage in legitimate business. Besides, and more importantly, the proposed policy will amount to unnecessary and avoidable debilitation of the business of local and indigenous investors who through thick and thin have kept faith with the Nigerian economy. They have continued to invest and reinvest at enormous cost in the economy and in the Nigerian people, who are the bulk of the nearly 500,000 people workforce. This is in spite of the daunting challenges that businesses have faced in these difficult times, which, if we must emphasize, has led to several companies closing down and foreign investors leaving the country. We are convinced that this present administration's renewed hope agenda will not be best served with this ban. If the administration is committed to encouraging and strengthening local investors, then this ban should give way to access control. At the least, one will expect that NAFDAC should allow due process of full legislative hearing by the appropriate House committee to take place so that relevant stakeholders can engage and the public will know the factual, expert, and well-informed positions. Also, the Ministerial Technical Committee should be allowed to complete its work because it was set up by government and is the best way to link the private sector position and the position of government. It is important to know that the industries have invested hundreds of billions of naira not only in the business but over time in packaging and the distributive trade. Most of the huge investments are backed by enormous indebtedness to foreign and local financial institutions. How do we pay back? It should also be borne in mind that prior to the investment made by the companies in the packaging, distribution, logistics, and advertisement of their products, the necessary approvals were obtained, thus prompting them to make the said investments. This is what this ban is going to wreck for no justifiable reason. It must be explicitly stated, moderation and responsible drinking promotes good health. Small is good. If you buy small, you will consume small. If you buy big, you will consume big. This is not healthy. If what we want to promote is that people should drink responsibly, why lead them to what will make them not to consume or drink responsibly? Why are you killing the businesses that actually promote your campaign? Bigger sizes encourage consumption of bigger portions, while small sizes encourage portion control. If you take away small sizes, you are encouraging excessive consumption of alcoholic beverages. To go ahead with the policy based on a perceived danger without empirical information and not minding the consequences is unfair to the industry operators, the thousands of workers that will lose their jobs, and is inimical to the Nigerian economy. To this end, and I'm about to close now, our call is for government to carry out the following. One, intensify its activities and support in the form of access control and tighter regulation, but definitely not ban, which is counterproductive. It must be stated that there is large influx of even foreign brands. So when you kill the local brand, you give them unfiltered access to our market. And all of us know how porous our borders are. All of us know the alternative to this wholesome NAFDAC numbered products that they are trying to ban. So you will now open the floodgate for illicits which you cannot control. That the ban be reversed immediately and replaced with regulation and access control, such as establishment of licensed liquor stores and outlets by local governments which are allowed by law across the country. Establishment, suspected underage person. So if you see somebody that you are not sure whether is above the age of 18, should be required to show an ID to purchase alcoholic beverages, are practicing some crimes. We should tighten enforcement by law enforcement agencies and increase monitoring and compliance checks by NAFDAC, FCCPC, and others to ensure strict product quality in terms of content and safety, and even in terms of sales. Encourage collaborative efforts to eliminate underage drinking or use of alcoholic beverages. Enforce better regulation backed by informed policy and not a general ban on the production and sale of drinks in sachet and PET bottles. The sale of alcoholic beverages should be restricted to unlicensed and off-licensed shops. And ALGON, that's the association of the local governments that we have in Nigeria, should be strengthened to oversee this process. I must say that all our efforts in this regard have been tailored towards supporting and empowering all this association to be able to support the campaign. And lastly, to promote and protect the growth of local industries and jobs, tackling fake and counterfeit products and unwholesome alcoholic beverages. Key players present here today, and some of them are here seated with me, will also be able to make inputs and to answer questions that you may have. Finally, I want to thank you for coming and to assure you that we are not unmindful of the health of our young people. It is not correct to say that we are placing business over profit. The only thing that is true about this conversation is we are saying that the interest of business and the interest of the health of the people are not mutually exclusive. We are saying that we can achieve both as reasonable and corporate entities. We can achieve both. We are ready to achieve both. We want to collaborate with government agencies to allow us to breathe, as they normally say. So businesses are legitimate. We are.
Thank you for the presentation. It's the ban imposed on sachets and small PET bottle sizes by NAFDAC. And according to NAFDAC, the reason is to protect the underage from drinking alcohol. That is fine. Our association, the Slums and Beggars Association of Nigeria, also believe and we are committed to ensuring that the underage do not drink alcohol. So we are on the same page with NAFDAC. The only difference between us and NAFDAC is the strategy that NAFDAC is trying to employ. NAFDAC believes in outright ban, and we say no. The same objective can be achieved through access control. By access control, people's heads are protected, the underage will be prevented from taking alcohol, businesses will remain, investments will remain, our employees will keep their jobs. At the same time, we are achieving the same objective with NAFDAC that the underage should not drink alcohol. So that is the only difference, is the route. NAFDAC is taking outright ban. We can do this through access control and stricter regulation. That is our position. Our association is committed and ready to work with NAFDAC to come up with strategies that will enable us to achieve that objective of the underage not drinking alcohol. But outright ban, no, that is not acceptable to us. And I want to use this medium to call on the federal government of Nigeria to come into this matter immediately. Otherwise, many jobs are on the line. We are not just talking about the wines and spirits producers. We're also talking about those that are involved in the value chain. What about the suppliers of these materials, like the laminates, cartons, labels, caps, and other inputs? Their, their businesses are at risk. Some of these value chains, their businesses are configured to produce materials for the wines and spirits alone. So once NAFDAC achieves its objective of shutting down sachets and small pack sizes, those businesses are dead 100%. Some of them have invested so heavily and at different stages. How will they continue? So we pray and we hope that the federal government will intervene in less than no time before people start to lose their jobs. Thank you. You are welcome.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Well stated. Sir, for the purpose of press, kindly reintroduce yourself.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, DG. Good morning, members of the press. Good morning, members of the union. We welcome you all. My name is Gandhi Anandan. I am the executive director for Stellar Beverage Limited, and we are part of the Distillers and Blenders Association of Nigeria, which is part of the Manufacturers Association. We all agree that we are living in some very challenging times in Nigeria. There's food insecurity, there is economic crisis, there is inflation, there's job losses. There's a lot of things happening that's putting an unnecessary stress on the population of this country. The last thing we want is for something we call as stress related to health issues. Um, we do understand the legislation, we do understand the regulations that are driven around ensuring safety and health of the population. And where it is important, I think we all need to really go back to thinking about, right, what makes a nation healthy, but at the same time balancing that with the rights of our citizens. Um, Alcohol, like many other product, has to be consumed in moderation. Now, if you are going to place restriction on the consumption of a certain product, but at the same time take away the means of consuming that product in moderation, it is going to be counterproductive. So you're saying drink responsibly, but at the same time you're saying, oh, I'm going to ensure you drink responsibly, but I'm going to restrict you to buying only the bigger sizes. So the logic and the practicality doesn't work. Alcohol, like any other food and drink product, has to be consumed, has to be taken in moderation. If you have chosen to have alcohol, you need to have it in moderation. There is scientific evidence to show that there are certain kinds of spirits and wine drinks, when had in moderation, is actually good for your health, right? But at the same time, excess sugar is bad for health, excess alcohol is bad for health. So I just want to buttress upon the point that the DG made earlier. Small is good. Small sizes ensure portion control, smaller sizes ensure responsible drinking. On the other side, big is actually not healthy. Big sizes, we all know, I think some of us do consume alcohol, do consume soft drinks, do consume food. We all eat through our eyes before we eat through our mouth. So what we see is what we consume. You put half a liter of carbonated soft drink in front of a child, the child is going to consume the entire half a liter, right? So if we take away the size that is going to encourage responsible drinking, I don't think we are being fair to anyone. We're not being fair to ourselves. Big sizes actually encourage excessive consumption. Okay, there is enough empirical evidence and scientific research being carried around where bigger portions, if you look at many of these fast food joints, they try and give you bigger sizes because you keep coming back and say, oh, I get bigger sizes, yeah, I'll go there. For the information of the house today, Nigeria does not have a drinking problem. If you start thinking about per capita consumption of alcohol in the world, right, Nigeria comes right at the bottom. We have countries like Russia and Ukraine that lead the chart where alcoholism is a severe problem. Nigeria doesn't have that problem. Somebody who drinks, if you look at an average consumer of our products, somebody who drinks 1 or 2 sachets a day is actually drinking responsibly. And let me explain this further, right? I'm going to throw open a question to the house. If you take a bottle of beer and if you take a sachet of alcohol, can anyone tell me which one of the two has more alcohol? Well, somebody said beer, but do you know why beer has more alcohol? Okay. Let me try and help the house. An average bottle of beer in Nigeria is 600 ml, right? Glass bottle. And an average bottle of beer in Nigeria has 5% alcohol volume. So if you do the simple maths, 600 ml times 5% is 30 ml of pure alcohol. Okay? So when you have a bottle of beer, you are consuming 30 ml of pure alcohol. Now let's take the sachet. The smallest sachet available today in the country is 30 ml. And sachets, spirits, let's say gin or whiskey, is 40%. People see the percentage, they don't see the content. But if you multiply 30 ml by 40%, it gives you 12 ml of pure alcohol. So simple maths, one bottle of beer is equal to 2.5 or 3 sachets. So if you want to ban sachets, why don't you ban beer? Simple logic, right? Now, going further, if you say a bottle of stout is 5 to 6 sachets of alcohol. And nobody stops by drinking one bottle of beer or one bottle of stout. There's a question of affordability, there's a question of health, there's a question of responsible products that have been in production for years and years. So why do you want to stop it now? Is it got anything to do with the beer industry losing sales? Question that is running in my head is, why is this timed in such a way? So I'm not having a go at the beer industry. We are not. But we all need to be allowed to operate freely, fairly, and with the sole objective of ensuring the health of our consumers. We are not irresponsible people. We are all adults, we are all parents, we have responsibility towards our children. When I was a kid, my first drink was actually offered to me by my dad. And the drink he offered to me was a beer, and I hated it. I didn't like it. If I can hate a beer, do you think children are going to get hooked on to sachets of whiskey and gin? No way. We all have initiations of drinking through various means. So, without going around too much, if we force the consumer to buy the big sizes, which is NAFDAC is suggesting 200 ml and above is allowed, 200 ml at 40% spirit is 80 ml of pure alcohol. As per the General Medical Officer of the UK, who is the authority on responsible drinking in the United Kingdom, responsible drinking is 14 units of alcohol per week. 14 units of alcohol is 140 ml of pure alcohol, but it is advised you have the drinks over a week, spread it over 4 or 5 days. They say you take a drink today, you don't take a drink tomorrow, and they suggest various means. So, if 14 units is the responsible drinking limit, by giving someone no option but to start with a 200 ml of bottle at 40%, that is 80 ml, you are basically saying 80 ml is 8 units, 14 units is the weekly quota. You're saying have 4 days quota in a single day. So, are we promoting responsible drinking by banning sachets and PET? Of course not. So there are many other things that are associated. Now I can go on and on and on. NAFDAC is talking about children being slipping in sachets of alcohol in their pockets and taking it to the school playgrounds. I think it's unfounded. I think it's unfair. I think it's not well researched. You are trying to come to an end without proper research, without proper knowledge about what is happening. Sachets of spirits or PET bottles of spirits are not what is causing underage drinking. It's the other kind of sizes, it's the other kind of spirits, it's other kinds of wines and beers that are involved in this. So, on that very note, I'd like to thank all of you for giving us a hearing. And our prayers to the federal government of Nigeria and the Honorable President is to intervene now, because any delay on this matter can be hugely detrimental to the health of this nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, gentlemen of the press. Good morning, DG Man. DG have said a lot of things on this issue of banning. My name is Wale Mojolabe, the Executive Director of Nigeria Distilleries Limited. I will not want to say what others have said, but every one of us that are here, that have been in Nigeria for the past 30 or 40 years ago, sometimes we hear that some people are doing party and they drank something and 25 people have died. Since the introduction of the sachet, which is the product that has been distilled from a reputable company, I don't think you have heard anything like that. The gentlemen of the press are here. People will be doing parties in the past and they will be drinking local alcohol that was not well distilled, and you find that people have died. But since everybody have been taking this sachet, you have not heard that people have taken sachet and they have died. If the banning is the only way that NAFDAC is looking at, I think they are making mistake. What will happen is that people will go back because they cannot buy the bottle. They are even not sensitive about the economic situation that Nigeria is facing at present. About 3 days ago, in Kano, in M.A.N, in Suleja, people were demonstrating of the increase in the cost of living, and people were crying, and we are saying that we are banning sachet, and I don't think NAFDAC is working in tandem with the renewed hope of the President Asiwaju Tinubu, but the renewed hope is to bring hope to the people, not to dash the hope of the people. If the banning is sustained, we know how many people that will lose their job. In every household, every worker at least feeding at least 5 people, and look at the 500,000 that are direct workers of this distilleries company, multiply it by 5 average, and also look at all these vendors that are doing the packaging materials, those who are doing laminates, those who are doing cartons, those who are doing e-boxes. See how many people that are going to lose their job. Even the investment that distillers have made, this equipment cannot be, does not have alternative uses, and we have borrowed money both in naira, both in forex. How do we pay back? So I think this issue is beyond banning. And when we are talking of the health and we are talking of the children having access to the sachet, the research that has been conducted, even in conjunction with the NAFDAC, did not reveal that children are taking alcohol. So where is this thing is coming from? I think it's right time for the president of the country himself. I know he must have been hearing the crying of Nigeria concerning this issue. He needs to step up and talk to the NAFDAC to stop this action, because it's going to give negative impression about this present government. And if all these companies are closed down, then what will be the benefit of this government? So I think that is the area that we need to look at. The issue of children, children, all of us have children at home. Who will allow the children to be taking alcohol? And children also, when they say alcohol, do they really drink it? Those are the issues that needs to be addressed, and I believe that NAFDAC needs to change their stand. Uh, every other things have been said by everybody, and that's the area that I think we also need to look at. And thank you everybody for listening to us, and I believe that we will carry the message outside this place for us.
Thank you so much, sir. A round of applause. All right, the CEOs have spoken. Mr. John, would you like? Okay, if you were not here when I announced earlier, could you kindly put your phones on silence, please?
Good afternoon,
Thank
all.
you.
Good afternoon, Mr. EG. My name is John Ichue. I'm the Executive Secretary of Distillers and Blenders Association. The previous speakers have captured the critical area. I will only try to touch on areas that they have not properly captured. One of the areas that I think is missing is the role of multinational competition. You find that in the alcohol segment of Nigeria, there are two players, the beer group and the spirits and wine. Of late, the other group have not been doing well in terms of market share. Most Nigerians are looking at the medical implication of taking beer because there's sugar in beer. Most Nigerians are moving away from taking beer and moving towards spirit because the spirit aspect is more. And if you look at the financials of the beer group in the past 5 years, all of them have been declaring losses. So the undertone here is that they are directly responsible for what is going on. The idea is to get us out of business and take over our businesses. That is the agenda of the beer group. So I want the press to realize that this is the direction they are going. They tried it in Kenya, it failed.
They tried it in Kenya, it failed. They tried it in Uganda, it failed. They tried it in Tanzania, it failed. Ban has never been the way out. In those countries, the way out is access control and regulation. As I speak in Angola, the manufacturers of spirit and wine are in court. They've restrained the regulatory agency from going forward, and they are producing. So, what is happening is there's a group out there that is putting pressure on the DG of NAFDAC to sustain their business, and that is what is playing out. So, we should know that most players in our sectors are indigenous players. The multinationals want to take over our business, and that is the strategy. But by the grace of God, that will not happen. Yeah. Secondly, in 2018, when we signed the M.A.N, we signed it under duress because the then Minister of Health wanted to create a leeway for us by way of the MOU. But the teacher of NACA is not saying there's an MOU. It's an MOU policy. MOU is not a policy. It's an understanding. The government is currently working on national alcohol policy. By next week, that policy subcommittee will start their work. And we have asked the DG of NAFDAC, please take action until the MOU, until the national alcohol policy is put in place. In most clients, they have a national alcohol policy that will guide the dynamics of the business. So why are you in a hurry to ban? As if that is not enough, the ministerial committee made up of about 24 MDAs and also asked NAFDAC to say action. In that committee, about 24 MDAs, only NAFDAC is pushing for a ban. So that tells you there's more to it than meets the eye. So for us in Liban, our prayer is that the government should have a rethink. Access control, regulation is the way out. Thank you, Mr.